The final reading that I'm going to do is called Average Joes. As Jesus was walking beside the Sea of Galilee, he saw two brothers, Simon, called Peter, and his brother Andrew. They were casting a net into the lake, for they were fishermen. "Come, follow me," Jesus said, "and I will send you out to fish for people." At once they left their nets and followed him. Matthew 4:18 through 20. I never imagined that in my early 40s I would be all alone. I never imagined that after being married for more than 12 years, I would be divorced. As I sat in front of the mirror in my condo on a Friday night, a sense of urgency to get on with my life overcame me. I got to get out and meet people, I thought. I can't sit around here every night and feel sorry for myself. To make things even more difficult, I was in a new city where I only knew my coworkers. All of my friends were in Florida or North Carolina. I was alone, I was not going to church, and I was scared. I made up my mind that evening to venture outside of my comfort zone and start meeting new people. This leap of faith allowed people to come into my life, people who would lead me to church and support me in the writing of this book, the same people I would one day call friends. It all started when I stepped into the land of Average Joes. Average Joes is a chain of sports pubs in the Columbus, Ohio area. I anxiously walked into the unfamiliar surroundings that Friday night and immediately saw some coworkers from the New Albany Country Club. I ordered a drink and had some food and began to feel comfortable in my new surroundings. After a fun evening, I returned home and promised myself that I would frequent Average Joes. I would be a familiar face to the bar staff and other steady customers, certain that I would eventually be able to network and develop friendships. One evening, while ordering my dinner at Average Joe's, I noticed a promotional flyer for an autism golf tournament. My brother Brett was born with autism, so I've always had a desire to help when it came to autism. I set up a meeting with the owner of Average Joe's, Paul Rockwell, and offered to host a clinic for his bar staff and waitresses before the tournament. What better way to reach the masses than through the bartenders, the eyes and the ears of the community? Golfers love going to Average Joe's after a round. Familiarizing the bar staff with my teaching style would surely pay dividends with referral business. The autism clinic was a success and gave me a chance to meet some real quality people in the community. I became a regular at Average Joe's, which allowed me to promote my golf clinic with a poster and golf tip. More importantly, it felt good to walk into a place where so many people knew me by name. The bar staff, waitresses, and owner made me feel at home, something I so desperately needed at that time. God often uses people, places, and circumstances to guide us through life. Christianity was never meant to be experienced alone. It was through Average Joe's that my first step in meeting new people outside of work occurred. Then came the critical next step, my introduction to Greg Stone. Greg is a high school teacher at Watkins Memorial High School, instructing special needs students in algebra, geometry, and resource math. He also coaches the golf team. Ironically, Greg and I had quite a few things in common. For instance, we were both divorced and loved working with kids. In addition, both of us are Dallas Cowboys fans who grew up in the Methodist Church. Although I wasn't worshiping at the time, I felt God calling me back to regular church worship. It was through Greg Stone that I found the Stonybrook United Methodist Church. Attending Stonybrook would be my second leap of faith. In the spring of 2012, I met Greg at church and was immediately impressed with the energy of the contemporary worship service. This church is where I would meet Pastor Mike, a man who would write the foreword for this book. Stonybrook is where I would meet Pastor Nikki and youth pastor Ben Lilly, be inspired by the music from the band led by Garrett Keener, and eventually meet Pastor Bob. God certainly does work in mysterious ways that can only be received when we believe in Him and take a leap of faith. God's plan for me and my membership at the Stonybrook United Methodist Church 2 years later began one lonely Friday night. Thank you to the bartenders, waitresses, and owner, Paul Rockwell of Average Joe's, for always making me feel at home. Thank you to the locals of Average Joe's for taking me in as one of your own. And thank you to the Stonybrook United Methodist Church for changing my spiritual life. Jesus taught the disciples to fish for people, because in life we need each other to survive. We are all broken, all lonely at times, and face a world of sin and chaos. Greg fished for people when he invited me to attend church worship with him, a life-changing moment in my spiritual growth. I pray that through this book, I will also fish for people and help others to find Jesus Christ, a lost soul find their own Stonybrook, and help a hungry and thirsty golfer find their own average Joes. Thank you. I love that story. I love it.